Thinking about poetry of Black Tuesday? Wondering what MACE flying out the window meant? Pause, think about it with intentional thought, and consider where we go from here. Stay tuned and hear what Athama Bowe got to say about restoring power of the people. Join our co-sponsors Dom Dev Enterprises and Page Investments and our friends at Something to Think About. Ask your questions, post your comments, let us know where you are in the world, and share. Let everybody know we're alive, because this is going to take us down memory road, and we're going to learn a lot from our good guests this evening. We'll be right back.
Something to Think About with Dale Happy Knowles.
Welcome back to Something to Think About with Dale Happy Knowles. What we think, we become. What we radiate, we attract. And what we imagine, we surely can achieve. Let's change the narrative 242. So this evening, we're going to be talking about Black Tuesday, an event that happened on April 27, 1965. I was hardly on this earth at that point in time, but it's a very significant event that we're going to ask our good guests tonight to walk us through this road. Because to me, it was a milestone when Sir Lyndon Pinland, he wasn't Sir then, but actually he wasn't even Prime Minister then. But at that time, he orchestrated an action in the House of Assembly where they threw the mace, the symbol of authority, out the window down to the people in the square, the anguishing people who were painful for what was happening in the country at the time. And so we're going to look at those things because too often we have ambivalent and nonchalant attitudes towards these milestones that has happened way back in time. And we just had, we just had Black Tuesday last Tuesday, and there wasn't much talk about it in the public domain. We had all kind of modern talk, but nothing about the history. I shouldn't say nothing, but it was very quiet. And that's what I'm talking about, that we really need to change that so we'll know who we are, where we are, and where we're going. And I deem this to be the second greatest milestone in our history. That's my take. It may not be our guest take, but that's my take. And it's akin to the affirmation of it's better in the Bahamas. And that's how I see Black Tuesday. It's just how it's better in the Bahamas was designed for multi-phases. One was tourism and the other one was our people, so to build our people set. But you know, Maya Angelou says that people will forget what you say to them and what you do to them, but they will never forget how you make them feel. Black Tuesday is something that I think people at the time had a significant impact on them. And so we're going to ask us to join right now our good friend, Mr. Athama Bowe. Welcome to Something to Think About, Athama.
Thank you very much, Dale Happy. It's a pleasure, to see technology doing its thing. And thanks to you for being so creative and thinking about the strength of our country through our history.
Welcome. Mm-hmm. Well, Athama, I know you to be a political pundit by default. I don't know if you had any choice in that matter. You were baptized by fire, is from what some people have told me in time. And I do a little research sometime. And I know you as being more so Mr. Hospitality. Hospitality enthusiast of impeccable resilience. I don't think you ever sleep. If there's something astray in what's happening with hospitality, and you're a man of experiences that you put you in earshot of a lot of the leaders who were around at the time when this Black Tuesday would happen. So we know you should have a lot of information that you can share with us. Your family pedigree is significant that you could not stay silent or still during that period of time. And we saw that on the baseball diamond, actually. In the little ruckus, you was a little shorter than most people, but you still was up front, bickering and making noise and whatever and causing change. And we know you have been educated because that's one of the things I think Black Tuesday was able to inspire or ignite to us, was to allow us to be educated to the level that you would have been, which is in the international tourism, hospitality, and international relations. It was your main focus. You've been extremely exposed globally, and your hospitality in the hospitality industry. So we know with that background, you could not do anything but be a great guest for us tonight. What do you say to some of those things that I mentioned just now, and how you were able to reveal those things in yourself as a result of the things that happened way back in time with Black Tuesday and so forth?
Well, thank you very much. Now, I don't want you to continue this way back stuff until it looked like 1492.
No,
Wasn't
we
that
ain't going that far back. No.
okay? But Dale Happy, I was born in an out island, and that's before we changed it to Family Island.
Okay.
In the days, women would have they'd be pregnant, and then they drop their load or children in the Family Islands with their mothers, and you grew up with your grandmother, your grandfather. I and my brother Anthony, we were fortunate to have been in the care of our grandmother Edith King.
Okay.
She's a Seymour, and she loved everybody know that she's a king and a Seymour. My grandfather, Joseph Hepburn, called Joe Hetty, was a self-educated intellectual. And his early intervention in my political life, even at the age of 4, was to cause me to understand that, one, you must be obedient, you must be disciplined, you must love going to church as if you had a choice, because you didn't have a choice. And you must go to school, barefoot and all, and you need to come first. Now, of course, every child in the class got the same instruction from their grandparents or parents. And so they wanted to come first too. But death was better than coming anything else other than top of the class, because my grandmother had no toleration of someone beating her child in class. And at an early age, I was taught to read, spell, understand, take instructions, and do what had to be done.
So that was not a norm back then?
If that was what?
That was not a norm back then, to be able to read and etc.?
As norm as you thought it was, it was a norm for you to be able to read. Okay?
Okay.
So they could say it's normal for you to read. You had better be able to read. Okay?
Okay.
Tambourine switch knew no owners. Okay? Or no. Right. And my grandfather took a liking to me. I mean, he loved everybody, all his grandkids, but he took a liking to me. And I was his meter greeter. He was the person who operated the post office, the telephone, sharecropper, and anything that he wanted done, he gave it to me to do at that early age. I was supposed to tell him who's in the shop, who's coming, what they want, and so forth and so on.
Right.
And he said that we people of color must be in charge, and someday that must happen. And I never forgot that. And so when that photo there's of my grandmother Edith King, that's her. And she She was the best grandmother in the world. And when I came to Nassau on the boat in the hold, my brother and I, because my mother couldn't pay for a cabin or being on the deck, we came to Nassau. We'd never been exposed to electric light. And the lights on the street then were round. And we thought that they were moons. And we wondered how come in Cat Island we saw one moon, and it was high up in the sky, and in Nassau you had all these moons hanging up just above your head. Okay, now I mean it was what it was, you know. And we live in a one-room house off Shirley Street, just behind what is now Doctor's Hospital,
Right.
nearby the Dillett plantation, so to speak.
My plantation.
Yeah, and my mother made it a two-room house by putting a sheet, suspending a sheet from the ceiling. One part of it was the kitchen, and the next part of it was where we slept, and it's crossways, you know, crossways.
Yeah.
And then we went on from there. She was very industrious. My mother, in my opinion, did what she had to do to raise us.
Right.
She never cried. And as I look at the photo of Rosa Parks, I later on in life said that the Bahamas must find a way to memorialize Ina Hepburn as America did Rosa Parks.
Okay.
Rosa Parks was a seamstress. My mother was a seamstress. Rosa Parks didn't set out to be a civil rights leader. My mother didn't set out to do that. Both of them felt that the time was right for them doing what they did. Rosa Parks said that she'd not come off the bus to make space for a white man. My mother said that she'll go on Bay Street to confront the white man.
Yeah, so we can talk about that, but I don't want you to run too fast with that right now. But let's set the stage as to what Bay Street mean when you say that, because Black Tuesday happened on Bay Street in Parliament Square.
Yes.
And so tell us then, first of all, with all of our milestones, where do you place Black Tuesday when you talk about General Strike, Burma Road, etc., independence, all of those things, majority rule?
To me, journey to majority rule would be first.
Okay.
And independence would be second. Without journey to majority rule, there'd be no independence.
Right. So all of those things that I mentioned would be part of the journey to majority rule.
Yes.
Okay. So Black Tuesday, I say, is poetic because the name represents many things to many people, and to different people, I should say. Some people think of it as in the majority rule scenario, where majority rule means that it's the majority of blacks ruling, versus majority rule meaning the majority of persons having equal access. So what does Black Tuesday, the name itself, mean in its proper context?
To me, let me say, first of all, Black Tuesday is what it is. Black people deciding that on this particular date, all the nonsense that was being done to them, they're taking no more of it.
Okay.
It had to stop. Bay Street was a place that was mystical. It was almost a royal place. You don't go on Bay Street unless you have business on Bay Street, in particular if you live over the hill. And young boys who would go on Bay Street, it was thought that they were going for something untoward, like begging the tourists or whatever. And so you had to go down there, dress in your go-to-meeting Sunday go-to-meeting clothes, if you're going to look out for your father, as in the case of myself and Anthony. And the police would stop you, and you'd have to tell them what you're doing on Bay Street.
Right.
And you said, well, we're going to our father. our mother sent us for the money, and we have to say, who's our father? And we have to point them out. And then they'd stop us and say, stay right here. And they'd walk them and ask him if those two boys up there belong to you or do you know them? And once he said yes, we could advance forward,
Right.
and get the couple dollars or whatever the case may be and carry home the money. See?
Yeah. So then help our audience understand then what is Black Tuesday and its significance. What actually makes up Black Tuesday?
At the particular time in April 1965, the United Bahamian Party perhaps felt rumblings of discontent, severe rumblings.
Okay.
Pinling, Hannah, Milo, Cecil, folks, they were hell on wheels. And they felt, well, look, like there could have been political death and destruction. So let's do something innovative. Let's gerrymander the whole situation. Let's hook up these constituencies where no matter how the vote cuts across, we could win.
Right.
Pinling and those being who they are and being sharp anticipated that. But the UBP did not anticipate how they would react. A very good friend of my mother and the PLP movement, Effie Walks, she got inside trader information, and she knew that something was going to happen. And she prepped one or two people. And Pinling obviously wanted to set the Bahamas on its rear end, so to speak. Bahamians, generally speaking, we are very hospitable, charming, and for some of us, most of us, you have to really cause us to jump up.
Agitated, yeah.
Yeah, and so they had developed a strategy where the MACE and the hourglass would be central figures. Cecil Wallace Whitfield perhaps was the most revolutionary of the lot. Those persons who know him know that he was prepared to do anything and everything to get them to understand. And I don't know if smoke, fire, and brimstone was not in it. So when it reached that point where they wanted to express, they had already spoken in the House and said, what you're doing is not in order. You're ignoring the people. You're disrespecting the power of the people. You're abusing the people. And it reached to the crescendo where if you are going to disrespect the people and the people are outside, then something's going to happen. So the hourglass would give you your time, would indicate how much time you had to speak. So the hourglass had to go out the window. And the MACE, which was a symbol of the power of the people, and without the MACE in the House, you really couldn't have a legal session.
Right.
So out went the MACE out the window.
Wow.
And the UBP, they were stunned. They literally were stunned. And people outside were diving for that MACE. Splinters of it.
Okay. So it actually fell. People didn't catch it. Because some people told us that they caught it. Yeah.
Well, listen, I'm all depends on if they had a palm tree hamburger. If they had a palm tree hamburger, maybe they thought they caught it, right?
Okay.
But that MACE is in pieces. Okay. And there's a clamor for pieces for their souvenir, whatever purposes. Yes, the police tried to collect whatever they could, and the people were then agitated. They were agitated.
Right.
And Finland decided, look, now is the time to send a message to the UBP. There's a new sheriff in town, a new group, and we're backing up.
Right.
We've caught you trying to steal our freedom. You've oppressed us for so long. Our people couldn't vote unless they had property, and some of you all could vote 40 times,
Right.
200 times. We ain't taking no more of that. Okay.
Right. Right.
So he went in Watson Square and made an appeal for support.
Yeah. So
And
how
that's,
difficult was that to organize? Was Did that take a lot? Because Bahamians these days seem to be, if you try to get them to come out to do some things, then they second guess everything. And so I could only imagine. Well, I can't imagine what it was like back then. So let us know, what is the mindset behind the people when they came out.
well, the people had a feeling that something momentous was going to happen on Bay Street. They didn't know how. I don't
Okay.
believe they knew what part they would have to play.
Okay.
In politics, the leaders know how to shape the mood. And when they were all restrained by barricades, and he stood there, and then he made an appeal. Finland made an appeal,
Okay.
and his appeal was for 50 men to come and stand with him, and not a man move. Not one man moved. And the first person that jumped the barricade was a woman in a white linen pantsuit and a maroon blouse. And she went on Bay Street and she went to him. And it is reported that she said to him, let's go. And he said, what you doing here? What's your name? And she said, my name is Ina Hepburn. He said, where you from? She said, Cat Island. She said, and I live on East Street. Oh, he supposedly told her, oh, that's why your head back, right? And she said to him, are you afraid to die? And that shocked him to a degree that a woman would say to him, are you afraid to die?
Right.
Because she obviously had a feeling that they could have died. The police riot control group was there, squad, with fixed bayonets and rifles. They were in place.
So they knew something was going to happen then.
The police felt, and they weren't taking any chances. And they already had reinforcements at the East Street barracks. Reinforcements were in place. The officer in charge of the riot squad was an Englishman. My mother had said to me that morning, as I was getting ready for school, she said, Athama, something is going to happen on Bay Street today, and I may not come back. And I want you to take care of my children. Do you hear me? I said, yes, ma'am. She said, now, don't you come on Bay Street. I said, yes, ma'am. And I knew I was lying. That's the first time I lied to my mom. I wasn't listening to her, okay? Because I wanted to know who was going to brutalize my mother. I wanted to see that. Because in my mind, whoever brutalized my mother, whenever I got big enough, in place enough, they would pay. And so in my bravado, my commitment to my mother, and etc., I went to school, and the principal said that there's a demonstration on Bay Street. No one must leave the school property, and if they do, they'll be dealt with severely. Well, the person standing next to me said, I don't know if he said it for the principal to hear or he just spoke out loud. He said, I know one again. And I looked at him. He was my wonderful friend in school.
Yeah.
He later turned out to be a priest in his life, his career.
Wow.
And
He went with you?
no, he didn't go.
Okay.
So he wasn't political like that.
Okay.
Okay, but he knew that he knew what he's dealing with and saying he knew that I of all the people who's going, I'd have been the one to go. And then I took off my green shirt, put it under my white t-shirt, and I decided to walk uh, out of the property. And then I saw another of my colleagues, Arrington Minky Isaacs, and Minky don't need no encouragement. You know, this wasn't planned. You know, Minky comes from a very political family with Sammy Isaacs and all of them, and he he didn't take off his shape. He went out there just like green and gray.
Oh
And
boy.
another student joined us. His name was Edward Storr. Uh, Interestingly, all of us are from Cat Island. The person who said, "I know who going," his mother is from Cat Island.
Okay.
Minky is descended from Cat Island. Edward Storr is from Cat Island. So am I. And someone once wondered what was it about Cat Islanders that caused them to behave that way.
Right.
Um, all I could say is that all Bahamians should understand that you are somebody and that those things which you value, you must be prepared to stand up for, be uncompromising for your generation, the generation unborn.
Right.
There's no need to have any dialogue with that. And we went out there. I jumped. I was going to jump the barricade. Really, I really wanted to do that. And when I put one leg over, I felt his hand. I could tell you, I know what it's like for police to grab you by your waist. You understand? More than the waist is be involved. And he pulled me over and he said some choice words which I know is not in the police manual. Okay?
Right.
If you don't get your, and I got, and then he said to me, "You're a good kid. You're smart. I know you love your mother. Uh, I can do the best I can, but don't go over there because if you go on Bay Street, we have orders to arrest anyone." Uh, and he told me, "Stay behind the barricade." By that time, I saw my mother engaged in a fight, not a squabble. My mother, being a seamstress, just how to tear things up. And she was tearing that policeman uniform from his neck down, and that was in shreds.
Wow.
And her mouth was swollen. She had an eye that was bruised, and she wasn't playing. Okay? And the police was, he was still trying to save his face. Beaten or no beaten, he was still trying to carry her, and she wasn't going
Right.
nowhere. And she started screaming and calling Clarence Bain. And Clarence Bain heard her voice, and he came and he told the police, "Put her down." And the police did that. Well, Crawley, uh, who obviously one of these macho policemen, his comment was that I told you all to take that woman off the street. Now, ordinarily, he was at that time, I think he was attached to traffic. And so they went after my mother again. This time, the crowd wasn't having none of that. So the crowd got involved and told the police, "Okay, this ain't a day for you all to fool around, right?" Now, I can tell you that because by nature, I like to know, I'm curious, and that's how you learn. I made my way over by the police riot squad, and the the leader of the platoon,
Right.
that's a platoon, was a Cat Island man. His name was Camille Hepburn. And the policeman that I spoke to you about, the Englishman who's in charge of the whole detail, all the police, because later on in life, I asked Camille, I said, "Were you afraid At that day, he said, "Afraid?" I said, "Yes." Well, you had gone, you had painted. He said to me, "Is there another word more awesome than afraid?" I said, "What about scared?" He said, "But I was scared and afraid because I
Okay.
knew had we fired one shot,
Yeah. Thanks for the. So
yeah,
with that then, so really and truly, Black Tuesday ignited a fire or a flame
yes.
that brought the last mile into majority rule materialize and so forth. At least that's what I was taught. Right.
Absolutely, absolutely. As a matter of fact, Pennon was so Pennon was pleased with what he achieved, but at the same time, he's afraid because with the energy and anger that is building by the minute, he had to get them off Bay Street because they could have easily gone into the burning down mood. You
Right.
understand?
Right.
So he said, "Let's go," and he's pointing that way, and that way was the recreation ground.
Right.
And I guess some people figure, okay, let's go to restaurant. We have plenty soda, plenty food, plenty beverages. Let's go down there. We'll get tuned up and maybe we'll come back. But
Right.
Finland just wanted them off Bay Street because uh, the the uh, the riot act had been
Ready.
had been read,
Yeah.
which meant that they
When I was growing up, they used to be talking about the riot act and stuff, and I didn't know what they were talking about. We just thought it was some authority saying laying the land, but knowing that it was actual act and could be enforced and all of that, that was slightly different. So that's one experience there for me. So when we talk about these things now, it's how did this open doors for Bahamians? Did it change their mindset, their attitude? What did it do for the
well,
Bahamian psyche?
I think first, perhaps I shouldn't say first, but the white businessman on Bay Street realized that it ain't long now. They all their bravado starts simmering down.
Okay.
Okay, because they could tell that the natives were restless and they didn't want to push it. And Penning and those knew that you're going to have a chance to test this thing
Right.
and you can't fail. You
Right.
see?
Right. Right. Awesome. All right, so we're coming up on the break now, but just two questions before that. Did majority rule teach us anything about ourselves as a nation, or how
Um,
to move forward in governance and build
I'm
something?
not so sure that we placed the effort to articulate that. We've left it up in the air almost.
Okay.
Um, Bahamians are people who have a tremendous strength. Unfortunately, in some cases, too many cases, they have to be pushed and pushed and pushed. And then when that happens, where they reach a point, the difficulty is once they decide to turn left, you can't get them to turn right
Right.
until they would have, how you say, vented. Um, that is not what you want them to do. You want them to be able to achieve the objective and then go back to the planned position. Um, we are people in the Caribbean who are thought to be the not passive as if you're slow or you're ignorant. We tend to be more calculating thinking. I believe that tourism has had something to do with our behavior. We are conditioned to welcome people, to treat strangers well, and therefore it takes a lot, a whole lot, to get us agitated. And I believe that is very good because the one quality, well, let me say this: the major asset of the Bahamas is not sun or sand or sea; it's our people,
People.
and it's the personality of our people, not the skill set. Are we the only people who can meet you and in half an hour we act as if we own you. But I mean, we are suggesting where you should go to dinner, the nightclub show you should see. And if it's a cab driver, he says, I'll come for you in the morning to take you on a tour. And
Right.
nothing that he says sounds like, would you, could you?
Right.
And that in itself is a wonderful asset, you know?
Right. Awesome. So we're gonna go to commercial now, and when we come back, we're gonna dive a little bit or step down a little bit to the ground level as to what the experience was from that perspective. You talked about 1 foot over the fence and getting grabbed by the seat of your pants and twisted. I see. You didn't say that, but that's what they do. They twist
Yeah.
you, so make you say talk loud and hi, and so. But we're gonna talk a little bit about what that mean and how after Finland got everybody off the Bay Street and simmered down, what materialized thereafter. So, Madam Medusa, this is Dale Happy Knows with something to think about here with Athama Bowe, esteemed guest this evening. We'll be right back.
Sammy's Chicken. There's nothing like it.
Behind every scoop, lick, and savor is a smile and memory being made or reminisced. Whether you're at work, out with family on a Sunday, or have friends visiting, flavor will meet expectations in our 32-ounce container for only $10 if you're having a special event as well. Exotic flavors ranging from soursop to Guinness is definitely worthwhile. Welcome back to Something to Think About with Dale Happy Knowles. We're here this evening speaking with Athama Bowe, the man who I call was in this struggle by default, couldn't get away from it. He talked a little bit about what happened on Bay Street. And so, welcome back, Athama.
Well, thank you very much, Dale Happy.
You're welcome. So, like we was talking after the Bay Street event itself now, we've now gone on, I think it's about 57 odd years. And over the 57 odd years, we've had major strides in many ways, and some ways we've seemed to regress. So when we look at that then, has Black Tuesday taught us anything that is resonant, residual, in the sense that we got feeling of power and we wanted to break up the whole of Bay Street, and we saw that physical power, but did we translate that into intellectual power?
Dale, first off, we translated that and transferred that to political power.
Okay.
And political power put us in a position to lead government. Um, Once we took over politically and we had the government, we became better aware of what the UBP had been doing and how they governed. Even though they had ministerial government, also they functioned more like a business.
Right.
Uh, Certain families got certain portfolios and certain contributions, and certain families had a sense of entitlement still. Um, the UBP, as a matter of fact, used to mock the PLP and basically say, y'all black people from Motorhill, y'all ain't know nothing but running nothing, you know? And in reality, we had political power, but we lacked the skills. And for far too many, they lacked the qualification to enter institutions of higher learning.
Right.
And there was an urgency to have that done. The interesting thing that occurred was that we had many teachers, female women, who were well educated, better educated than the men, and they were able to accept scholarships from the government and go away to study public administration and etc. And you may note that a tremendous amount of the early permanent secretaries were women.
Okay.
A financial secretary, they were women and they were fantastic. Now, we men later on woke up, maybe a little bit slow, that look, these women were not, they were, yes, physically beautiful, but they were brainy. And as my mom would say, no woman who look good, sounds good, well educated, well paid, they ain't got hooked up with nobody who is equipped to go nowhere. And men of any substance really don't want to be an environment where all these women are their bosses.
Right.
And so the only way to deal with it is to compete. And the only way to compete is to qualify. And the women they didn't have any mercy. When I say mercy, their attitude was that you have to be good enough to do the job and stop screaming, so to speak.
Okay.
Penlane's position was that as many Bahamians had the qualifications, he was prepared to send them away.
Right.
To be qualified, and that's how we came along. Now, in terms of other events such as taking positions in companies, that was a struggle, and so Penland had to put together a policy, Bahamianization, which is now today being spoken of again.
Right.
And Bahamianization is not a program of exclusion.
Right.
It is a program that nurtures and protects the rights of national Bahamians to any position that they are qualified for without apology.
Right.
Now there are people who believe that Bahamians shouldn't be that way. But in every country in the world, it's like that. We in the Bahamas understand that we may always need consultative services. And so that is not something that we are against.
Right.
However, when parents are sending their sons or daughters away to be engineers and we hope some scientists, and architects and city builders and so forth, and tourism specialists. We don't expect them to come back with their qualifications in tourism or hospitality and then they become the night manager. No, 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 no. That can't happen. Or you call them a vice president, but he has no powers.
Right.
You know, the Bahamian always seems to have a position with qualifications. You are this. However, if you want to fire anybody, come see me. If you because the staff know that you have no power, so they're going to play office politics with you.
Right. Right.
And you know, we now, and I am now speaking to the young people who are the future leaders of the country. They have to make a commitment that you have to do more than talk. Okay. Nobody is going to give you what you think you want. You have to compete. And the only person you need to compete with perhaps is yourself.
Right.
Do you
Yeah.
have the will to qualify? Do you have the will to learn the skills? Do you have the will and the acumen for the job? And if you do, no one will stop you. But if all you're going to do is talk, they can give me this, they can give me that. That's not how it's going to work today.
Yeah, but you know, we have to build that confidence too, that when they do compete, etc., that's not just a dead road, right? Because like when I went off to school, the building administration and those encouraged us to go and so forth and come back when I knew that I would be embraced somewhere in building the nation. I went to telecommunications, and you know the record speaks for itself. But today, the youth, particularly like my sons and the rest, always say their friends will talk about it, and when they come back, the avenue is not there. So I'm asking the question. When I ask the question about did Black Tuesday teach us anything, because you fight for these things, but then it's like we have to then fight again for the same thing.
Yes.
From our own voices,
yes.
not from somebody else. And when I say our own, Matthew, the fight was against the oligarchy, small subset of people who ran the government, because all Jews were oppressed in a way, right? But obviously the blacks and the dark Bisons were more of the majority, but some just seem to be more resilient in how they were able to overcome versus the others. So, I mean, not to go down that road too far, but just to say from that perspective, though, how do we get the upper hand or to advance ourselves in this less polarized environment, racially polarized than what it was back then?
Well, first off, I think that we must recognize some realities. It is very difficult to have people who feel oppressed to stop and concentrate on a sort of negotiated settlement.
Okay.
We must develop an attitude of respect. Those people of color have a right to want to be where they are qualified to be. And the word is qualified.
Right.
And persons who wish to impede their progress should be mindful that that is not how we're going to progress. And really, if you continue to retard the progress of the country, and we're not speaking of one party or the other.
Right.
We know we will not go where we wish to go as fast as we wish. Then we have to take another type of decision. We do have some people who are darker than blue, who have attitudes that some of our people find difficult to bear. It is a case of, yes, I am, but not you. It's
Okay.
like, you remember, Tubman said, last night I saved 1,000 slaves. I could have saved two if they only knew that they were
Right.
slaves.
Right.
So we do have some people who believe that they are the decision makers, the ultimate of what happens to people who are entitled to their due. They've worked hard, they've been encouraged. One of the things that I believe that we uh, would do well to strengthen is to, and this is on every job, every discipline, is leadership.
Right.
If leaders in ministries, companies would accept their roles as leaders, you would not have so many people having to be agitated. Because one of the jobs of a leader is to anticipate, to know. If you know that somebody lives over the hill and must come to work on the jitney, housekeeping,
Right.
and she comes late and she says, I am late because I took two jitneys and both ran our schedule. You're going to berate her. You're going to belittle her. To me, that is unacceptable. You demoralize her, and therefore she's not able to give the
Perform.
type of service that we have, uh, that we told the world that we have. Um, we have our police, who have been the symbol of the how you say, colonial image of the Bahamas.
All right.
Um, we have to ensure that they are back where they should be. We need to posterize them. That has nothing to do with those who are dealing with other aspects of the business of maintaining law and order. But we
Right.
need we need that image to be pervasive wherever throughout the Bahamas. Um, we need to speak to our people with positive messages. That works better than continuing to complain, complain, complain. Uh, this may not be relevant, but we talk about crime, crime, crime. The more progress you have, the more people are going to sit back and try to take something from someone. And there are subcultures who have their own activities and agendas. I believe that we should focus the citizenry on building a far better Bahamas. And by doing that, those persons who do not fit, do not agree, like as Hepburn said, they'll say, "Stop the world! I want to get off,"
Right. Right.
because this Bahamas is not prepared to accept, tolerate persons who set their minds to keep the program back.
So you mentioned the youth in that commentary, and so the question I have is: do we need a Black Tuesday 2.0 to inspire our youth to be more productive in civics and activities of the and nation building? Because it seems like the youth feel that the seniors don't care about them, right? And so then they figure if nobody cares about them, then why try to conform to a system of governance and order? They might as well go do what they want to do, when they want to do it, how they want to do it, and so forth. And so what would that Black Tuesday 2.0 look like if there is one that is needed?
Well, let me take you back. I often hear young people say that, look, y'all people don't want to teach nobody nothing. You want to go to the grave with things in your head or whatever the case may be. I can tell you this, that there are many like me. I make myself available to any grouping to pass my experience and knowledge to them. I'm going to tell you this, that I've not met one youth group, not one, who says that they want to learn. So come tell me, come teach us, not one.
Wow.
And I've heard them at receptions and I've challenged them. Who are you talking about? And they can't say. They just repeat what they are saying. I did not grow up as knowledgeable as I am, and I continue to learn. I ask questions.
Right.
I sat with the masters and I sat quietly and listened. You cannot threaten the person who you need to get information from. You have to say, Happy, Dale Happy, can I go to lunch with you? Then Dale knows why you want to go to lunch. You want to feed off his energy and his knowledge. He says, sure. He's delighted to know that there's someone who wants to do this thing. Because when I leave from here, I want somebody in charge who's far better than me. But based on my standards, I'm not going to sit down there and let you run up and down this place because you're talking. The people who may want to, the previous president of the U.S., Obama, said, look, you come out here, over here in America for education. You are the brightest minds. You don't need to go home. Stay here in America. We need you. He said that. And we have a lot of our people prefer to do that. I had the opportunity when I was away, and I was given the offer to make 2.5 times my salary. And I ran in the bathroom and cried. I didn't cry because I was whatever. I said to myself, my country sent me abroad.
Right.
And at that time, I was the best that the country had to offer. There were 6 of us. How could I come over here and be bought? To me, that was like being a traitor. So even though I would have had more money and lived in by now, whatever the case may be, I couldn't do that. And so we need young people to understand to build this country will require them. And they're going to have to say no to a few dollars so that they can keep the land secure for their children. It is more than the money. Because in time, you'll cry if you see who take over.
So they have to find a way to figure out what is their mace and hourglass of the day that they have to throw out the window and stand up to move their movement and agenda forward. Basically, that's what you say.
But I know I haven't said that yet, but I'll say this. The University of the Bahamas. There was a time when I used to interact with student government at College of the Bahamas. Today, that don't happen. It's as if they don't know who's who. And we also have that problem in this country. You don't know who to talk to, either because you select speakers because you like them or you do not like them. But that's not what it's about. You bring people within your circle who can enlarge your intellectual capacity, who can help you to strengthen your leadership. And really, it stems from something very simple. Do you love yourself?
Right.
Because if you love yourself, you would find persons who are just like you, who care. All of us have to learn. I believe the Bahamas has a bright future with our young people. And I believe that they will find that there's every opportunity for them. They will be required to perform at a standard that is world standard, not NASA standard.
Right.
And as such, the Bahamas must brag that it is better in the Bahamas in everything that we do.
Right. Right. Makes a lot of sense to me. So I thought, you know, I promised you an hour, and we're up on the hour's time. It's been really great having this conversation with you, taking us back to what it was like and so forth, and you jumping over the fence and leaving school and what have you to do what you want what to do. But today, how then do we, before we take our leave, how then do we, after this 57 years, change the narrative, change the attitude so that we could affect what you just mentioned in your last couple of minutes of speaking, what the youth needs, would be encouraged to do? Because really and truly, in our creative world today, it's the youth generation that has most of the creativity. And so if we want to succeed as a Bahamian nation and country, we really need them to be empowered significantly so that we could move forward. And so that is a question that I think we have to find a solution for, to
But
help
let me-
them be empowered. Yeah.
But let me just say this. My secretary is 11 years old. Okay? And I'm not saying that to be funny.
I know what you mean. Yeah,
That's my great granddaughter. She goes to St. John's College. No need to kneel. She goes to St. John's College. She can do anything on the cell phone, utilize it for any purpose. She can do anything on the computer. As a matter of fact, I told her I had to do some things on this on my laptop in order to get on your show.
right.
And she was not here with us, visiting with us. She said, "If I'll come there and show you how to do it, okay?" And I said, let me see if I can do it myself, okay? I said that to say this. The new generation are technologically superior
Right.
to anything that we've seen. What we must do is marry that capability with something which the generation before them have: strength,
Right.
character, focus, discipline, pride, passion. And then once you mix all of that together with the youth enthusiasm, impulsiveness, thinking outside the box, you cannot override us. And so we need a coming together. Politically, I'd like to see all members of parliament be deputized, directed to go into their constituencies and transform them. They don't need to wait for nothing. Go do it. You are the leader. Go do it. We need the church to go do it. I could tell you that the Boy Scout, they're doing it. The Boys Brigades are doing it. Guides, cadets, rangers, and the various church youth groupings. We need to come together and decide how we're going to develop this common strategy and go out there and do what must be done. We are blessed as a people. We must take advantage of that. We must not let people tell us we are to this and to that. I've never met any persons in the world better than us Bahamians. I've been down and far south as Australia, way east as Thailand, far Portugal, throughout Canada, the United States, throughout the Caribbean, studying until, and all of that. The Bahamas, in my mind, have the best people who have the best combination of qualities.
Right.
And we must nurture that. Now, you wanted to ask me about tourism, even though this
Mm-hmm.
is not so. Um, I see the successes being made, and we must congratulate the Prime Minister for his philosophy, and the Deputy Prime Minister for aggressively dealing with things which must be done to Locayan Hotel, dealing with the cruise ships. Cruise
Mm-hmm.
ships need to know that they cannot have entertainment in port, that when they leave Miami and come into Bahamian waters, their entertainment must stop. And a Bahamian band or show that's resident on that vessel performs. We must awaken the entertainment industry in our country. We must ensure that people like Raphael Munnings, Bahaman, T Connection could reassemble Ira Starr, Gino D, Veronica Bishop, and a new cadre of entertainers that they can emerge. And of course, the Funky D's. We have two markets here. Domestic market, they want our, local Hakaraka in Kabama. The visitors want that concept of Deo, that Harab Elephant persona.
Yeah, yeah.
We must bring that back. We must put the store market back in lights.
Mm-hmm.
We must restock our Surreys. When I say restock it, we need new Surreys. Okay, you don't want to go into Surrey, stand up on the pedestal, and then you feel like the Surrey can tip over. We need new glass bottom boats that give the guests better viewing of our beautiful waters. We need cab drivers. They may be called cab drivers, but their behaviors may be more like a chauffeur than just a cab driver. I believe that we're headed in the right direction. And of course, Bahama Host will become a continued central part of this. I'm sure we have to tweak Bahama Host, but that must be there.
Right. So, Athama, I would like to thank you kindly.
If I may,
Go ahead.
you must come to Cat Island for the rake and scrape. Hey, that's the rake and scrape, you got to come to Cat Island, June. Yes.
June, yeah. I have it on my radar to come.
But
actually, I've been multiple times, Yeah, but
no, but I want to tell you that
recently. Yeah.
No, they're built, but I shouldn't say this, but they're building a statue in your honor. Okay? Nobody told you?
No.
No, they are.
Okay. Maybe my uncle, but I don't know about me. But anyway.
No, it's you. They're building it on the bay.
Okay.
Every time tide go out, it's there. When tide come in, they have to do it again.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Yes. But it's been real good, and for my $100 billion economy, I need to bring you back so we could talk about igniting some of the creative parts of tourism, and we could speak specifically to those things, and the like, because you mentioned the people are the key. In my $100 billion economy, we have sun, sand, sea, digital, and people. They're the cornerstones, and I am convinced, after many years of looking at this thing, that we already have the DNA, or what did the good Lord put in us to do these things. We just need to reveal it and peel off the layers so that we could achieve these things. But like you say, we have to do this with teamwork. And you were a prominent figure of mine in baseball, and I saw you as a little man being the commissioner of baseball and so forth, and handling people. And somehow we have to get back to allowing people to handle people and not always just have the person at tippity top directing what should be happening, right? We need to lead people to where we need to lead people to be, so we could all grow and rise to the occasion. So thank you kindly once again, and so forward. Say hello to the madam and your learned secretary. She will be spectacular in her time, because I know how it was for my children in technology world. So when I grew them up from scratch with only electronics, I intentionally did not let them play any card games because I knew what was coming. That's what we call inside knowledge, right? When you're in the telecoms arena. And so look forward to seeing you. We're going to reach the evening song one of these days. I don't know which day it's going to be, but one day when there's not too much smoke inside the church or incense,
Okay.
you know what I mean? Yeah, cool. So thank you, kindly. So everybody out there on Facebook and on YouTube, thank you also. We apologize for the technical difficulties that we had with Facebook tonight. Don't know what happened. I think that's something in the cloud somewhere. But it's one of those things, and you just ride on, you know. So with that, thank you, Athama. See you on the park. Madam Producer, as usual, take us home.
Enjoyed the show? Then subscribe to us for more educational and inspirational content. Ring the bell so you never miss a show. Let's change the narrative 242